as you watch the little bar moving to setting up your live feed. Make sure it's on mute. It is. And we are live just like that on a Tuesday night for Talk Time with TJ Triple T, number 241. Holy banana peels, Batman. We are rolling right along on August 11th, 2026. So glad that you guys were able to join me. My name is TJ Zebel. I like to refer to myself as a professional problem solver, which I always follow up with, no, I don't know everything. I just have a unique way of asking lots of questions to help people find the solutions to the challenges they're up against. And if I don't have the answers, which sometimes, a lot of times I don't, got a great tribe to call up, pick minds. I also know how to use the internet. Whoa. Speaking of the internet, we are live on YouTube, which this time is going to be a little different. My mom is on vacation. Yay! She needs to do that a lot more. So, Mom, when you're watching this recording, do this more often. A lot more often. A lot more often. But I'm still going to say, hi, Mom. Because she'll watch the recording in a couple days. And for the rest of you watching, thank you so much. And for those of you watching the recording as well, I sure appreciate you showing up. And for those of you that are on YouTube, or going to be on YouTube, or can jump on YouTube later, I would really appreciate it if you would do the little YouTube stuff. Doesn't cost you a penny, even though we're not using them anymore. It's just a couple of clickety clicks. I'd appreciate it if you would click some likes, make sure you're subscribed, and ring the bell so you know we're back when we're back on the air. Leave a couple comments. Missing my comments lately. And if you see something that you think would help somebody else, please share it. Not for my glory. I'm obviously not. I'm not an influencer yet. But we're out here. We all show up. Same bat time, same bat channel, because we like to help people. That's one of the main commonalities of this amazing tribe of amazing people. Also, while you're on the internet, I'd appreciate it if you would drop by my website, take a peeky poo, and see what you think. There you'll find out some of the stuff that I get the honor of helping people with, such as depression, anxiety, phobias, PTSD, grief. I get the privilege of working with athletes from beginner all the way up to pro level. I also offer corporate coaching and a whole plethora of things. Yes, I am that guy. If you're wondering how I got to be that guy, I've got a PDF on there that you can download. It's only 6 pages long, and I'm not saying that to brag. It's just so you're prepared. It has a listing of the professions I've been part of through my crazy life, some of my qualifications and certifications, and some of the classes that I teach. And I would encourage you to take a look at it. And if you see anything on there that you've got questions about, or that you would like some help with, or a class that you might want to take, reach out to me. I do offer a free 30-minute consultation. That's right, no charge to you. 30 minutes of my time, we can chit-chat, go over some of the challenges that you're up against. And if after 30 minutes I feel that we are a good match, I'll let you know. But I also promise you, if I feel that we are not a match, I will let you know, because I don't want to waste our time and your money. And I want to make sure that you get the changes that you're looking for. So I will do my best to help you find one of my colleagues or somebody qualified to help you in whatever challenges you are up against. What else? We got that. Oh, and it is time to introduce the tie of the week. It's a little something I've been doing since the first episode in 2024. So, Tell me if you recognize any of those fine characters.
Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes, that is correct. Pepe Le Pew and Porky Pig and oh yeah.
Yosemite Sam.
Uh-huh.
Pepe Le Pew.
Yep. Who's the chicken? Who's the big rooster? Who knows this one?
Red. His name is Red the rooster.
When I first saw it, I thought Santa.
No, Falcon Leghorn.
There it is. Ding, ding, ding. Foghorn Leghorn.
Very cool.
Boy, I said boy.
Boy, that's a boy. Uh-huh.
His name is Red.
Some
Maybe
fine
that's
characters there.
It's called the little guy Red, maybe. I don't remember. Maybe that's what it was.
And I forgot to do something here quick. Yes, I actually have to be quiet while I'm typing because I don't multitask quite as well as some people do. You would think with all the squirrels I got running around, I would be better at herding them. Not hurting them, herding with a D. And it is 6:06 our time. What else we got? I would like to hear some cool stuff from my cool peeps about some of the cool stuff that happened in the last 7 days. Who's got some cool stuff they can share from the... Mark, what you got?
Well, I'm not really into conflicts, okay, but I had a situation where I had to activate that chip up here. Situation with my mechanic. These people screwed up with my car.
What?
I had to spend a bunch of money to get it set right. You know, my wife's car, we've been going to him for 35 years. And, you know, I trust him. I don't necessarily trust his people. But, yeah, I was, like I said, I thought, you know, it cost me a bunch of money. I wanted him to make it right. And so I was prepping myself. I didn't sleep well the last night. I was sharpening my sword, polishing my armor and my shield, ready to go into battle. And I showed up and I was like, hey, I got to talk to you. My wife took off, you know, and I said, look, man, you got to make this right. And I explained to him what happened. I said, it was your people, your reputation, you know, and you gotta do what's right here. And I thought I was going to get a battle royal because he's a hard-nosed businessman. And I explained to him what the situation is. He says, what do you want me to do? I said, I want you to eat the brake job you just did on my wife's car. He's like, done, get out of here. Like, wait a minute. I wanted a fight here. I wanted a battle. And you folded like a house of cards after like 2 or 3 minutes. I was like, I was happy that, you know, he did the right thing and, you know, but at the same time, the wife couldn't believe it that he ate, you know, he ate most of what I paid to get my car right. And, but there was a part of me that was, you know, because I had activated that chip, I wanted a fight. I wanted an argument. I wanted to make him see it my way. And he just folded. He said, yeah, okay, fine.
I've got a question.
Get out of here.
Did you feel cheated after all the time you rehearsed all the lines for the movie and the movie ended up being just a reel?
Yeah. It wasn't even a reel. Again, it was like a reel on Facebook. It lasted, you know, 2 or 3 minutes. And he's like, yeah, okay. You know, again, I was like, I was very, again, I had rehearsed all the arguments. I had rehearsed all the counter arguments. I was ready. I was going into battle. I'm not usually conflict oriented. You know, I'm usually about resolution, but I was like, yeah, let's do this. And he was like, okay. You know, he's like, okay, you got it. Get out of here. And I didn't have to pay the bill. And I was like, I came home. There was a part of me that was really upset because I really wanted a
Yes.
fight.
Now
You
you got
know,
to take all that energy and wash the car and mow the lawn, and I had all this energy built up, and now I got to find another place for it.
well, but yeah, so that was good. That was very good. Again, I know that I have that within me. I don't activate that chip I don't, there are people that live their lives with that chip activated.
Oh
Everything's a
yeah,
conflict. Everything's a battle of wills. You got to make people see. I don't do that. I don't come from that place, but I do have that chip. So,
good.
you know, yeah, I'm not a pushover by any stretch of the imagination.
Well,
So,
that's why the saying is it's much better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And you've proven you can put on the armor, you can grab the utensils and go
the
into the battle, and it's
you
nice
froze.
when you don't have to get hurt. You can just go, yep, got her done. Cool. So, who else has got something cool from the last 7 days they can share? That's it. Well, I'll take it. Short battles are nice. Oh, Mike's got his hand up.
Okay.
It was his birthday yesterday.
Oh,
It was my birthday.
happy birthday, brother!
Thank you. So I started my cherry jelly. It's turning out really well. And I have started cherry wine. So just a small test batch to see how it goes.
Cool.
And I'll keep you guys posted.
Please do.
Cool.
Now that's looking like a sweat box there. I recognize the inside of places when things are opened up.
So I think we need to have cherry jelly and cherry wine in Cabo. Just saying.
Yes, 100%. In fact, funny that was brought up because this weekend I showed my brother-in-law. I still have my bottle of cherries in vodka from the tree. I picked them. I figured it out. I picked the cherries 30 years ago, and they're still in the bottle with the vodka.
Gosh, what are you waiting for?
Well, I've tried it a couple of times, and then I keep refilling it. And after a while, the cherry stuff has gotten a little diluted. So I might have to make another batch. So if anybody wants to try it, get yourself a decent bottle of vodka and a good batch of cherries. Wash them and just drop them in the bottle whole. Remember, you have to make room for it, so make yourself a couple of cocktailians. And then fill it up with cherries and then just hide it in a dark space for about 6 months. Oh, makes for a fine refreshment. Lenora.
I love the cherries. Mike, I'm very excited for the cherry wine. I know we talked about cherry flavored jerky also. So this is super excited along with the jam. And TJ, you lock them in a dark room to ripen, to what are they? Age?
HVAC?
Age. Really quickly, it was Mike's birthday yesterday, and it was Guillermo's birthday yesterday.
What?
I know. And
You were
he
26?
turned the magical. There are so many so many ways that we say this. He is 50 earthly years young, which is very exciting.
Cool. Well,
So.
happy
Levels.
birthday.
Mark calls them levels, right?
Thank you.
Absolutely. What lovely.
Level 50
There was, that's what I
with a
couldn't think
little
of.
more experience.
And a few more hit points.
I'm what my level depends on the people that I'm around, and I think you guys have all figured that out. Because man, sometimes I'm like level 18 with a lot of practice. Anybody else? Mark got his hand up.
Just to ease part of the group, I'm continuing my efforts to, to get away from the demon tobacco. And I just got these in the mail today. They're herbal cigarettes, no tobacco, or you don't have to worry about me and any of, cancer or anything. I just had one. It satisfies the need. So I may
That's
be
exciting.
getting rid of that. So, still like to have, I'm still with Freud where, cigar gives a wise man time to think and a fool something to stick in his mouth.
Yes,
So if I have an herbal cigar, I've got something to stick in my mouth.
yes.
So
Well, if you know anybody that provides smoke cessation, you can contact them when you're ready.
I may not need that, but yeah, if so, I do know some folks.
Yes, you do.
Mhm.
All right. Anybody else got anything to share before we get rolling? Okay. Well, we are for those of you that are watching the recording for the first time or possibly watching YouTube for the first time, let you know what you're in store for. It's a 2-hour show, even though we're already 17 minutes into the first hour. And first hour, I've got 3 topics picked out that I do my best to get through. Sometimes we get through one topic. And then at the end of the first hour, we change things up. And second hour is open mic, open platform. Anybody can bring up a topic or a question. And I let people on the call answer first because I like to learn as well. So let's, without any further ado, as they say, let's get into the topics of the week for number 241, paid persona, solutions and advice. And as you guys know, a lot of my content comes from my work with my clients, and today is no different. Paid persona, I've got a client that I was working with today that is looking at some we're going to call it old new ventures. Going to try out another form of income that they haven't done for a while. And we were going through some rehearsals and some challenges and things of that nature. And so I went a couple of different angles. And the one that we landed on just before the end of the session was, how much would somebody have to pay you to show up with a different persona to do this type of work? And it came down to the motivator. There's a lot of different things that I've tried in my lifetime, as is proven on my little Who is TJ on my website. And yeah, there were a lot of them I wasn't exactly qualified for at the time, shall we say. But you guys have heard my joke many times that I was driven by my crazy addictions to sleeping indoors and eating. And so I was willing to create a new persona, create a new hat, try something new. And it allowed me to do the job, do the work. And some of them, I could show up as the person you're seeing right now. Some of them required a different persona, like when I was assistant manager for the tire shop. Yeah, I was kind of this person, but I also had to be the person in charge. Bless you. And when I was the bar manager at a place called Mabel Murphy's, that was another one where I had to change my persona and be the combination head bartender, but beverage manager, bar manager. And I was in charge of a number of employees. And I made relatively quite good money. It was when I was offered even more money that I realized I had to change my persona even more. For some people, it's the title. For some people, it's the type of work. For some people, it's recognition, attaboys. And then, of course, there's the age-old motivator, moolah. And so it made me kind of curious, especially in our setting. When you look at some of the clients that we work with, what is their motivation? What is their motivator? What will get them to either change their habits, if they have to create a brand new mask, a brand new persona, what will motivate them to go through that? When I teach my class Identity Management University, aka IMU, that is all about creating a new mask, creating a new persona. And one of the things that I found over the years of teaching the class, we have so many ingredients in our pantry, per se, that we are reluctant to use. Whether it be because somebody said, well, you can't do that, that's silly, you're not supposed to act that way, blah, blah, blah. What will people think if you talk like that? And it becomes such a product of self-judgment, self-shame, self-whatever, that we narrow down our ingredients list to what has been accepted over the years. Even changing our voices. There was a reel by Vin on talking about how many people are afraid to use different ranges of their voice, especially in any type of public speaking or public entertainment. part of getting out of the shell and creating this new persona is the ability to utilize all the keys on the piano of our vocal cords. We get so used to this little pocket. This is how I talk. This is how I've always talked. This is how people recognize my voice. Well, that's fine for everyday conversation. But if you go to some type of improv class, they're going to push the boundaries. They're going to have you pretend to be something else. And when did we get to pretend the most? What was that? I think you were...
I would say being a little kid.
As a little kid, we got to pretend. We were told, tone it down. You're too loud. Stop talking in that little child high voice. Blah, blah, blah. But if a little kid has their stuffed animals out and it's story time, how does a little kid tell a story with their stuffed animals? Anybody? Anybody? I'm Mr. Bear. And I'm the little mouse. And before they get it beaten out of them, or talked out of them, or shamed out of them, or guilted out of them, or knowed out of them, blah, 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 they're stocking their pantry with so many ingredients because they don't realize that you're not supposed to have that many ingredients in your pantry. That's kind of psycho. Really? Look at some of the best entertainers of the year, or in history. How many ingredients did they have in their pantry?
Robin Williams had a lot.
Oh, right. Well, look at these guys. These were all personas. Mark. Mike's not
Yeah,
on.
I think it was Mel Blanc that did all
Yes.
that. Yeah, he had a lot of personas. But again, I'm just overwhelmed by squirrels right now. But one story I did want to relate. We would, I do, Sesame Street voices for the kids when they were little, and but when we tell my daughter a story, and then we put her in the crib, and then we'd go to bed and we'd listen on the monitor. And what she'd do is she'd take all her stuffed animals. She couldn't read at this point, but she could turn the pages, lift the book in the crib with her, and she would get the book out. She'd arrange her stuffed animals, and then she would tell them the story as much as she could remember, with all the character voices and stuff. And we'd be listening on the monitor, and we'd be dying in our bedroom. And the little pig said, it was just like, she would tell she'd turn the pages. She couldn't read, but she could see the pictures, and she would tell the stories, And the mouse did, and she was doing it, in their personas of all the different characters in the book, and it was high entertainment for parents just to listen to her, to hear her, retell the story to her stuffed animals.
If you could have recorded that, how precious would that have been?
Oh, phenomenal.
Yes.
But yeah, we all have personas. Like I said, one more quick story. When I was in Vegas, we were doing the Pillars of Power and stepping into that avatar, and I couldn't quite figure out the first time how to get into the mindset of rock star. And then when I went back, I figure, I couldn't come up with an image, an avatar to, to step into, that persona. And then I came up with it was Frank Sinatra and, old blue eyes. And I got into that during, I had introduced myself to a person behind me of the female persuasion earlier in the morning. But then I get into the persona, and I was in that persona for playing pretend for a good portion of the day. And later in the day, a friend of ours, Bernie, was having a birthday party.
Yeah.
And I went to and this person introduced themselves to me like they didn't know me because I had changed my facial expressions or whatever. I still was in that persona.
Yes.
They didn't know who I was. I had introduced myself earlier in the day, in the morning, but later in the day, they came up to me like I was some stranger. They didn't, it was almost like I was wearing that suit of clothes. I was wearing that persona, so well that she didn't even recognize me from the morning. So
Awesome.
it was very strange. Okay. But it was very instructive as to, like I said, you can, and I always said, I dress for my clients. I dress, I wear a shirt and a tie and a suit coat, because I have a certain persona. I have to adopt that, that professional persona so that people will trust me.
Yeah.
I have to, I wear the clothes I need to wear in order to step into that persona to help people.
Yes, 100%. And while you were bringing that up, one other extreme persona, thanks to Robin Williams, who's seen the movie Patch Adams? Oh, yeah. If you had to be in the hospital and you got to choose between having Dr. Dull or Patch Adams as your doctor, which one do you want? It's going to depend on two things. Can Patch Adams do his job correctly? Well, he proved it. And do you get better? Another one that crossed my mind was news people. You listen to some of them, and they've got that nice, very business-like. Okay, coming to you live on WTNB. We've got a situation. And when I was working with Dr. David, we would do something called word salad, where you would have a bunch of different descriptives written on a piece of paper. And you would have to tell some type of story using the descriptives that were on the paper. And almost every single time when we started it, the students would have such a challenge trying to come up with some type of story that had these descriptives in it. And I had a download, and I would go up to the students and I'd say, okay, now this time what I want you to do is I want you to pretend that you are a pirate telling a news flash. And they'd be like, what? I went, pretend you're a pirate who's a news reporter and you have to do a news flash. And as soon as they could bring that new persona out of their imagination, the words flowed just like you never saw. Hi, matey. We're looking at this crash down by the border. Yeah, sorry. Look at it. The ship came from nowhere. And they could go through it and just have a blast with it, and they would be laughing so hard, but they would be able to do it. Well, one of the things that they were missing, one, what was the persona? What was their target? And permission to use their imagination and almost be childlike. As soon as that opened up, it flowed. And there is, of course, the persona that society has beaten into most of us adults. Which one is that? Oh, yeah. That wonderful persona of having to be serious and predictable and like others and boring. Bless you. Holly's got her hand up.
So several thoughts as we're having this conversation. The first thought, you were talking about society beating a persona into us. So first of all, I've been thinking about how, in Dr. David's classes, we talk about how posture and breathing are so important to everything we do, to healing, to being strong, to being, whatever you do. And I was thinking about it, if we have a certain voice, if we have a softer voice, or we have we don't talk at all, that's impacting our breathing. That's impacting our posture. And then even beyond that, I was thinking about there's several sound therapy modalities. And so even if you just want to think about the sound bowls, if you're familiar with the sound bowls, each chakra has a frequency. And so this thought was coming to my mind, when we are allowed to use our full voice and we're allowed to step into these other versions of ourselves, is there healing that goes on? Is that chakra opening up? Is it clearing out because of those vibrations that are going through our voice? I know there's so many other pieces of these personas when we put them on. But I never really thought about all these different things. And then one of the thoughts that came to my mind also was, how do you sound when you're in rapport with your voice? How do you sound when you're in rapport with your heart? How do you sound when you're in rapport with your gut? Do you take time to check in with each part of you? Is there some healthy part of you that hasn't had a chance to speak for a while? Because another thing that keeps coming to my mind is the voice is a muscle. Singers, or, there are other people too, whether you're like an auctioneer or something like that, but singers do a lot of practice, and they have to, if you just practice one octave and you don't practice the other octave, you're going to get really strong in one area, but you're going to completely lose another area of your voice. And are there parts, once again, just your voice in general, do you shut it off because you feel like you're not supposed to be heard? You're supposed to be seen, not heard, or something like that. But at the same time too, are there entire elements of your voice you're not letting out? And I'm going to tell a story. Probably lots of people have heard this story at this point and are getting sick of it. But one of the popular songs that's on the radio constantly is a song called Golden. And if you know the story of that, it was written, co-written by someone named EJ, and she also sang the song for the film, K-pop Demon Hunters. And her story is really, really interesting because she tried to be a K-pop star and she couldn't make it. And part of the reason they didn't want her is because they said her voice was too dark, was too dusky. But the interesting thing is, looking at her story, she needed that voice to blow up and basically be, the number one song for who knows how long. Everybody loves her. All those years she thought she didn't make it. It was because she was trying to make her voice too small to fit into what was right for that part. And the reason she didn't make it was not because she wasn't trying hard enough. The reason she make it was not because she doesn't have an amazing voice. It was because she was dreaming too small. Yep. And when she finally stepped into the role that she was supposed to inhabit, she has a voice that can fit that, and almost nobody does. She has this incredible range, and almost everybody who listens to her song, in the film, it's in one key, but they actually key changed it down when she sings it live. And almost everyone says, as beautiful as it is, because the biggest problem was her lowness in her voice, her huskiness. And everybody who hears a key change down says, no, this is where the song's supposed to be sung, because you're getting that point of her voice that nobody else has. And so, and listening to her interview, because she had bronchitis the first time she performed it live, and her voice cracked a little bit. And she said, she just said, if my voice cracked, there was a reason for that. I'm just going to trust, the universe. And the interesting thing is, like, first of all, everybody's so impressed she's saying that with bronchitis. But the other thing is, the number one comments down below is, oh my gosh, she just sang that live, because there's no way that they would have let that voice crack stay there if this had been, live might mean different things. They might record it a little bit before just to make sure nothing goes wrong or whatever. But there's no way that voice crack was in there if this was just one track they recorded one time, or, so even when you think, you have the break in your voice, that's the bad thing. Sometimes that break has meaning to it too. Sometimes the imperfections in your voice have meaning too.
Yep.
And so, and you can't be afraid to go out there and make the mistakes and whatever, because that's how you build it. That's how you learn. That's how you get everything around. And it probably has meaning. And then just also the other thing that it's not just pitch. It's not, there's pitch, there's rhythm, there's tempo, dynamics, timbre, all these different things in your voice that you could have the exact same conversation with somebody with the exact same words, but change the richness and all of a sudden it's different. Change the tempo and all of a sudden it's a completely different message.
Yes.
So feel free to experiment. Don't limit yourself to just one aspect. Play around with this. Discover who you really are. It's really fun to discover who you are. Anyway.
No, nuggets and nuggets of one of the best things you said about is changing your timbre and stuff. I've asked many people, how many ways can you say hello? Hundreds of ways to say the exact same word. Hello. 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 It's the same word. But another thing that you wonderfully brought up, Holly, people who use their voices for work, like an auctioneer. Now, does an auctioneer always talk like an auctioneer? No, it's a persona, right? I'm pretty sure an auctioneer doesn't go home and go, and honey, what's for dinner? What's for dinner? What's for dinner? Well, what are we gonna have? We're gonna have. I'm looking for it. I've been looking for it all day. Glad to be home, honey. Yes, supper is ready. Now, maybe there's somebody out there that's like that, but I've got a feeling that's just one of their personas, and probably their biggest motivator for building that persona was getting paid. Who else has can think of another persona that uses voice?
I would say all of them.
DJ.
What's that? I heard two answers
Go
simultaneously.
ahead, Greg.
DJ.
DJ. Yes. That's right. TJ the DJ right here. And I tell you what, I've been doing that voice, making a lot of money off of it for 18 years, even longer. And when it's time to get down to get funky, let's get the people on the floor and let's have some more. All right.
My little Hercules, my little Hercules. One thing I promised.
But the thing about that, again, it's just a persona that I built because I wanted to get paid to throw parties. And I got invited to a lot of parties and got paid to show up because I could take that persona and just have fun with it. What's another persona that uses voice? What was it that you said, Lenora?
Well, I was saying that every persona that you have, every mask that you have, whoever you're interacting with, you likely have a voice in some way, shape, or form. If we're going to be more specific, then I would say doing the news. But I think you mentioned that already with your pirate play one.
Uh-huh. What about the old guy from the film previews?
The guy who did the voices for the trailers?
Yes.
He had a good one. He had a good voice.
It was a Saturday night. They were out. They didn't know what was coming about. Jason, come to theaters soon.
We couldn't do a Disney one or something? We had to go with Jason.
Hey, what about, since we just had FIFA? Goal!
Yes, exactly. What you know that the sports announcers, but especially like you said, Latin soccer. Oh my God, Grace! I hope it had to go. Or another one. How about the announcer for the boxing matches? Over in this corner, we've got. Let's get ready to rumble! Oh, did I steal your thunder? You sent it to me telepathically by our squirrels were in the same woods. Bart's like,
That's okay. That's okay. I have another one. Like I said, I have two. The other one is the preacher, a good preacher. You know, a Baptist preacher. There once was a man, and he had everything. He had money. He had power. He had, all the material possessions. And then he died. Yeah, again, a preacher has to use his voice to communicate,
Yes.
But
And
yeah, let's get ready to rumble. Don't you get paid for doing that one line? That's all he needed, one line.
What about the good old Baptist preachers? You hear Sam Kinnison's count on the. That's right. Can you be saved by the Lord? We are here. We're going to. But they're all different personas. It's just another mask. It's just another set of ingredients. History teller. Oh, yes. Great one, Guillermo. Politicians. I did not have. Oh, that's a different one. I am not a crook. Yes.
Then you also have Schwarzenegger. Get to the chopper. I'm here.
We'll have to get out. Get out.
It'll be dark.
Holly.
I know it's a fictional example, but I'm also just thinking about My Fair Lady, which I know is based on Pygmalion, but 90% of her change was in the story was that she changed her voice and she went from sounding like a flower lady who lived on the streets to convincing the most eminent, person in the world on vocal coaches that she was a Hungarian princess. So, it's just kind of an interesting thought of how little separates us, even though we think it might be more.
Mm-hmm. What about the mobsters in Jersey, New York? Hey, you goomba! What your mother bless you?
How you doing?
How you doing, huh? What's that you wearing, huh? Did your mother make that for you? Look like a goomba. It was brought up as paid persona, but in the end, that's just a motivator, right? I think we all need that release, the ability to every now and then go into the pantry and have some fun and pull out some ingredients we haven't used in a while. And anybody that's been around Planet David long enough knows his story about Captain Jack, the acupuncturist. And he built that persona out of a number of different people. It was Captain Jack Sparrow, Mike Myers as
Was it Austin Powers?
Austin Powers, yes. So you had Captain Jack, Austin Powers, and he just put those ingredients into a blender and came out as Captain Jack the acupuncturist. And I've got some friends that when they love traveling to different places, and one of the things they do is they will pick out who the other person is going to be. And then they go out into public and they have to act as that person while they're there. And they have an absolute blast because it allows them to be somebody else for a while. I ain't gonna lie, that was one of the fun, addicting parts of being TJ the DJ. Is 4 hours, I got to be the life of the party. I had the mic, I got to set the rules, I got to decide what songs were played and what songs were not played, and I got to tell people to get their shiny heinies out on the dance floor and let's rock and roll, and we're gonna have some fun, and we're gonna have some fun even if you don't wanna have fun, because this is the place to have fun. Any other ahas, epiphanies? Yes, Lenora.
I like the idea of ingredients, and so many people I think could be quick to say like, oh, I don't do that, or that's not me, rather than perhaps those ingredients are just covered by other cans or something.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they don't exist within the cabinet or within the ingredient cabinet, but that they're just simply covered by something else. Because especially when people say you have everything you need within you, it's just covered up by something else, or maybe the program hasn't been updated entirely for you to access it, depending on which picture you're going with. But I always like the idea of ingredients, and I have yet to go to an improv class, but I have heard that many times from you to go to an improv class.
In a way, though, you have. Not to put you on the spot, I've thrown you under the bus on live TV before.
No, never.
What persona did you have to build and practice to be on a TED Talk and to be a keynote speaker?
Would those have been improv or building building a skill set? I wouldn't necessarily think improv. Improv, I think the way that it's constructed is probably just like go in and just figure it out. And if you bomb, you bomb. Whereas that one, I feel like that was a skill that was built.
You had to build a persona. Improv is building a persona right now. You don't get the time to research the persona. You don't get the time to rehearse the lines, rehearse the activities.
Mm-hmm.
It's still building a persona.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like watching those cooking shows where it's kind of like if anybody's watched Chopped, where it's like, okay, and your ingredients are, and you open it up and you've okay, and
Yeah.
you've got 30 minutes to create an amazing, that would be improv of persona.
Yeah.
But I remember when you and I were working together to get you ready for doing
Oh yeah.
the TED Talks, and part of it was who's your target market? Who are you
Hmm.
talking to out in the crowd?
Yeah.
And you weren't talking to the whole crowd.
Hmm.
What was your magic number? Do you remember?
I know for sure you had me put people from Triple T throughout the audience. So I think there were like 7 or 8. There was Holly, there was Fran, you were there, Elijah was there. I think I put Aaron in there at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. If that's what it takes to have confidence in the product that you're assembling, it's kind of right back to ingredients from the pantry.
Yeah.
You still have to go in there and go,
Maybe
what
this will work. Maybe
what
this
am
will
I
work. Yeah.
making? Who am I making it for? Yeah, I'm not going to be putting in cayenne pepper in this dish.
Yeah. Very true. Very, very true.
And wow, that brought us 3 minutes from the top of the hour. Here we go, another night of one trick pony. No. Anybody else got any ahas, epiphanies? Now, Michael, how many personas do you have that you pick from on the daily, do you think?
Lots and lots and lots and lots. I am a marriage counselor. I am a doctor. I am a financial advisor. I'm a priest. I'm you name it. I'm whatever it takes to get the job done. I'm number one. I'm an active listener, and I'm a diffuser of stressful situations. And I talk to the young person inside everyone.
Yeah, and that's the fun part about dealing with the public. Even like Dr. Duncan over there, the amount of people that I know he ends up dealing with on the daily, bringing in this 50-year-old piece of machinery going, this was my grandfather's, and it was sitting up in the attic where it got baked for about 40 years. Can you fix it for $10?
In 30 minutes.
Yes. What's it worth? Well, is that question in the state that it's in, the state that it could be, or the state that I would like to see it in?
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself is another persona. Because I've seen Dr. Duncan when he doesn't have to put on the professional mask for the people showing up. He gets to unwind, have some fun. And then there's the times that he and I will be talking, and then we go into deep philosophy and the ways of the world. That's a whole different persona.
Mm-hmm.
And then we all have that warrior persona where somebody did something that, you're lucky I don't have access to twin 50 cal machine guns to mount on the hood of my car because you would be toast. Right? We all know that persona. We're like, just easy now, easy, Cujo. Yes, it's okay. We get it. Mentally, we destroyed them. No. And then we let them go. Because prison doesn't serve the food that we like. And I don't look good in orange. Well, there it is. We topped off hour number 1. And I don't know how many of my personas you guys saw, but yeah, I've got a pretty good sized pantry of stuff. But now it's your guys' time to grab a persona and bring out a topic or a question that the group can address. Who's got something for us? Mark's got his hand up. What do you got for us, Mark?
Well, brother, this is only about 3 hours old, so it was something new, and I was working with a client, and we were talking about negative self-talk, and I used your construct of positive self-talk, positive, worst case scenario and best case scenario.
Yeah.
And then it just came to me. It's like, again, people will, when they're engaging in negative self-talk, it's ruminative, and it's kind of like a hamster on a wheel, okay? And it doesn't matter how fast the hamster goes. Again, it just keeps generating more and more of that negative self-talk, that ruminative talk, and it just felt like, I'm like, okay, but when I thought of this, I said, what if you could turn the hamster around, okay, and generate positive self-talk in the same way? I mean, the same construct, it's just the polarity. And I was like, ooh, this sounds big. I haven't thought about it a lot, but because it's brandy new. And I was like, if we could turn that hamster around, like I said, we could generate, that hamster could be going in good, positive ways, generating positive self-talk and empowering thoughts and things like that. And if we could just turn that hamster around with our clients, that would be profound. All we got to do, like I said, it's the same construct. The hamster on the wheel is generating all that negative self-talk. Well, maybe we can turn them around and start doing just the opposite and generating all kinds of positive self-talk, because it's the same construct. It's just the polarity.
Correct.
So I wanted to get people's input on that, as far as like as a teaching tool, as a means of, like I said, turning people around. Like I said, if you're not having depressive thoughts, if you turn that around and have happy thoughts all the time, it's really hard to stay in that state of being depressed if all you're doing is generating positive self-talk. So I just wanted to, I threw the concept out there. Like I said, it's about 3 hours old, tops. And just, I just wanted everybody to just stop and imagine the hamster on the wheel and then turning them around.
Okay, so turning that into a question or a topic, what would be the biggest challenge to get the hamster to stop its direction and be able to go the opposite direction? Lenora's got her hand up.
Oh, I love talking about language and how navigating this can be fun, but it can also be frustrating. What I have found to be the biggest, not difficulty, challenge is when you notice those thoughts and you go, oh, okay, I need to pivot my thoughts. It's so slippery. It moves so quickly that when you're trying to have another thought or a more neutral thought, whatever, it's more positive or more neutral, whatever you want to do, there's another voice that comes in and it wants a better reason, as it wants, almost like you have to justify why you're making me do this. Why are you making me put in this extra effort? And reasoning with that is where, that's the other layer, because it's easy to shift your thoughts. It's easy to go, okay, it's a thought. Okay, let me pick a different thought. Let me pick a different thought. Why? I want to, but I'm right about this, or whatever it is. There's a persona or a version that wants justice, that wants to be heard, that wants to be satisfied. So I find it to be very helpful to acknowledge that version. Elijah came. Good morning, Elijah. I find it helpful to, hi, find it helpful to focus in on the reason it wants to keep talking, or the reason that it wants to be heard. And once that happens, you take the emotional charge out of it, and it's so much easier to pick a different thought. It's so much easier to shift the attention. It's that other piece that is really wanting to be heard, in my opinion, or just in my brain. It's entirely possible.
No, that was a really good answer. Who's got another answer to add to that? And Holly.
So I'm just exploring this concept. I have more questions probably than answers. I do think it is definitely an interesting thought, and it could definitely work really, really well for some people. One of the things that was going through my mind is I think a lot of what happens is what we're primed to have happen. So if you tell somebody, you know, we're going to do this talking forward and then we're going to stop it and reverse it, I think that could be very, very powerful. I've been watching a lot of Richard Bandler videos lately for some reason. I don't know why, but one thing I did notice with him is the first thing he does is he slows it down and stops it. He really focuses on that part where I usually jump in and I'm like, oh, stop it and reverse it. And I think there could be a lot of power to, you know, taking the time to slow it down, stop it, and then reverse it. Going back to K-pop Demon Hunters, and like I said, I'm sure people are really sick of that movie at this point, but one of the things she actually did in one of the songs that was by the bad guys in the show, for lack of a better way to describe it, in their song, she actually took the forward, their mantra for the good guys, and she recorded it, and then she took the recording and flipped it backwards and played it underneath in her original version. And I was just thinking about how powerful that was, and it did kind of reverse the meaning. But I think that for some people, you know, so anyway, I was just thinking of what if you had them say the self-talk, actually recorded it, changed the pitch, reversed the direction, and played with that? You could literally actually reverse it and play with that. My only concern with that is, what are you primed to believe? Because I've also been told sometimes when you hear a message backwards, that might be priming you to internalize the message more than it's priming you to eliminate the message. So I don't know what people's thoughts are about that, but I think there's definitely some really cool possibilities there. Yeah.
Good answer. Mark.
Something Holly said that triggered a tangential squirrel again. Talking about changing the polarity, Elijah, of negative self-talk into positive self-talk. And something Holly said triggered a memory of, I think it's jujitsu, where you take the opponent's energy and you turn it against himself. It might be one of the other martial arts disciplines. In other words, you're taking, if they throw a punch at you with the force to break an arm, you turn that energy back and it breaks their arm. That would be an example, a model of, you know, taking the energy and turning it around against, you know, the thing. So again, my question was about being able to, you know, with negative self-talk, being the hamster on the wheel, the chattering monkey, and, you know, and the negative. And then if we could change the polarity, if we could turn the hamster around, could we not generate, because we already have the capability of, you know, the chattering monkey's always chattering in the background, and turning that into a positive self-talk. So like I said, I was just throwing the concept out, wondering if anybody had some thoughts and how the, like I said, I've only thought about this about 3 hours ago, to change, turn the hamster around. But the idea of, like I said, using the negative energy and then turning it into positive energy in the same way that one of the martial artists would turn the opponent's energy against themselves, basically to reverse the flow. And like I said, it's a brand new concept, so I'm just kind of feeling my way through it.
One of the things that I like to do with clients, or just people that come to me with stuff like that, I like to ask them, well, what's worst case scenario? And they'll rattle them off like bing, 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 bing. They can rattle them off at almost faster than they can talk. I'll say, okay, good. What are 3 best case scenarios? And watching people struggle after being able to rattle off 27 worst case scenarios in the matter of a minute, watching them struggle to come up with a best case scenario. And when they finally do, it's like, well, I guess it could be this. And I go, okay, that's 1. Now give me 2 more. What? No, what? Well, that was the best case scenario. I said, no, you gave me 27 worst case scenarios. So there's got to be more best case scenarios. What else is there? And then I remind them that part of why it's so easy to come up with the worst case scenarios is because even though positive energy is more powerful, negative energy is more plentiful. That's how they balance each other out. So it makes sense that you're struggling to come up with best case scenarios versus finding the worst case. Did you say something, Elijah? Your mic wasn't on.
Oh, I'm constantly talking to you guys with the mic muted. Like I answer like every second or third line that someone says. I'm like I speak out loud. I think out
I
loud.
thought that was going on, but
I have the mic muted. Like you literally were saying about 27. I think you said 27 worst case. And you and I actually said the word struggle at the same time. You might not have seen it, but if you watch the replay on YouTube or whatever, you'll probably see me mouth the word struggle just as you were saying struggle. I kind of talk back to you and speak to you, even though I know I'm muted, but I'm constantly doing it. People, if you want my input, people, everybody's different, but not that much. People are different and unique, but actually they're all the same. And everybody likes something. Everybody enjoys something. Some people enjoy motorcycles, and other people enjoy surfing, and other people enjoy cooking, and some people enjoy cleaning. Some crazy psychopaths out there enjoy running. I don't enjoy running, but some people really love going for a jog and they love going for a run. And some people really love their coffee, and I'm not talking about like they need 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day. I mean, like if the bean is not ground to the perfect amount and it weighs, 1 gram more than it should weigh when it comes out of the espresso maker, then that means it was too dense or something, and so the coffee's ruined and they must start over. And some people love cars, some people love clothes, handbags, shoes, but everybody loves something. And so how do you stop negative self-talk? You get people to talk about what they love. And then you take a learning frame of hey, I didn't know anything about that. That's actually really interesting. I thought it was, and you say something stupid and innocent, and you have them explain something that they love, and why it is the way it is to you. And you watch them become enthusiastic about it.
Yes.
And as that, you have silently shifted their state without them even realizing it. Because the moment they start showing enthusiasm and they start feeling like they're contributing, they're teaching you something that they know, that they're an expert in, that they really enjoy, right? And then you can put in the little suggestions. Oh, wow, you're really good at explaining things. Oh, wow, I didn't really think of it that way. You give me some new ideas. Da, 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 da. And before you know it, there'll be a little seed planted in there where, hey, I did something good today. Hey, I shared an idea today. And that's where the ball starts rolling on the more positive self-talk. And the shift in attention. Last 2 classes I did were both about attention and shifting attention and paying attention in different ways. And that's really ultimately, if you ask me, it's about what is it that someone is paying attention to and what are all the things that they're not paying attention to that if they were, that the self-talk would be different.
Absolutely. Great answer. So glad you showed up. Appreciate it. Holly.
Loving this conversation. The more I hear, the more it's, they say that you get the message that you're supposed to get when you get the answer, when you're doing the answers. And that's been definitely true. This is the topic I needed. But anyway, another thought I was having too, I think when you stack, any metaphor can be powerful, but anytime you stack metaphors, it could be even more powerful. So one of the things I was thinking, if you've got the negative thoughts, the negative self-talk, and you could say, am I reversing the sound? Am I assigning a color to it and reversing the color and seeing what direction it's spinning and spinning it the opposite direction? There's all sorts of different things you could do with that. But one of the things that I think a lot of us ask is, where did this negative self-talk come from? Is it actually coming from you? Or is this voice from somebody else? And I was thinking you could mix the reversing, because I'm sure there's times when it is coming from you. But on the whole, it usually isn't. Usually it's coming from, maybe a parent, maybe a school teacher, maybe, somebody that went to church with you, somebody just in society, whatever it is. So I have this saying that basically as we're going through life, people are regularly accidentally giving us some of their energy. It hurts them. It hurts us. It doesn't do anybody any good for them to give us their energy. And that negative self-talk might be their energy cycling in our energy field.
Yep.
And so can you reverse the energy? And as you reverse it, does it send it back to where it came from? So that they could take the energy back and integrate it into their field and do whatever they're supposed to do with it. And you could get that infection out of your energy and purify your energy too. So, you could just send it back, but I think there's something extra powerful about reversing it, because you're not just reversing the energy itself, but you're also reversing it in time so that it makes it make even more sense for it to go back to where it came from. Now, once again, every metaphor is going to speak to different people, but that at least spoke to me.
Good stuff. And yeah, one of the protocols I've asked people is, this information, this energy that you've gotten, is it yours or is it somebody else's? Like energy spider web that you walked through and got stuck on you. And watching their faces when I asked that, and they're like, what? I'm like, just take a little time to think about it, research it. Is it your energy or is it somebody else's? And sometimes just that introspection helps them to realize it's not theirs. They don't need to hang on to it.
And how do you know, right? It's like, is it your energy or is it someone else's? And how do you know? How do you know it's yours? How do you know it's someone else's?
Yes.
Because a lot of people know, but they don't know how they know. And It's not until you ask them, how do you know, and they actually think about it, that they will start to break down or understand or uncover within themselves that, oh wait, there's a criteria here.
Yes.
There's a pattern here. And if it follows this pattern, then it can't be mine. Or if it follows this other pattern, then it is mine. But they probably never thought about it before.
Yeah,
You know,
you
so
might have
much
a
stuff we do
signature.
on autopilot. Sorry, Mark, what was that?
Said that negative energy will not have your signature.
Yeah, maybe, absolutely, you know. But and again, like I said earlier, like everybody is the same, but everybody's different. So someone else, you might say signature, and someone else might say frequency or vibration, or you know what I mean. And it doesn't matter because they all essentially they're talking about the same thing. But you as a, you know, I'm going to use a word that people might not use, but you as a chameleon. Right?
Yeah.
This chameleon, this mirror, this adaptive thing that bends and reshapes itself depending on who you're coaching or helping, right? You understand that they're essentially saying the same thing, but they're saying it in their own way, right? And then that adapting. Like if they say signature, you're going to say signature as well, right? That's part of the echo talk, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have to understand what people say, because they already understand it. That's all that matters. You just have to mirror it in just the right amount. It's possible to over mirror and under mirror, you know, but in just the right amount. They will open up to you.
Well, and
that can be a chameleon persona is what you have to do what you do.
Yep.
In 1984, I was 4 years old. So some quick maths will let you know how old I am now. But in 1984, I was 4 years old. I hadn't moved to the UK yet. I still lived in Pakistan. I was born in Pakistan, for those of you who don't know. And my favorite song was Karma Chameleon by Boy George. And I used to run around in the little house that we had there in front of all my uncles and aunts, and I used to Karma, 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 Karma. And it wasn't until like 2023 when I actually listened to Karma Chameleon and the lyrics properly. I was like, holy shit, dude. What? Really? You know? Crazy. You know? Some 40 years later, I was like, wow.
Yeah. I've actually brought that up here a couple of times where because of technology now where they can show all the lyrics. If you like Amazon Music, it's all, you got almost all the lyrics of 90% of the songs they play. And I said it's almost the way that we learn incorrectly. Some beliefs were put in our head the same way that we came up with our own lyrics for the song. We didn't have the lyrics, we heard it, and after we sang it a certain way so many times, that's how we heard the song. Well, then all of a sudden the song comes on and the lyrics are in front of you, and you're reading the lyrics and you're singing along, and you're like, that's the words to the song?
Did you ever watch Peter Kay? There's a British comedian called Peter Kay.
Yes.
Misheard Lyrics. It's one of the greatest skits and sketches I've ever seen. It's so hilariously funny. Peter Kay's Misheard Lyrics. Everybody should watch it. It's so funny. And it's exactly what you're talking about.
And I fully, 100%. But the thing about it is, you sing it that way, then you find out the lyrics and you realize you were singing it wrong. But the next time you hear the song, you've been singing it the old way for so long that you have to try and remember what was the right way. And you see the lyrics the right way enough times to where you have the ability now to sing it the right way. And I've found, because this has happened to me numerous times now that I know I'm singing it the right way, I have a hard time remembering how I used to sing it the wrong way. And that's kind of the work that we do with our clients, is to get them to understand that this thought process, these negative thoughts or things like that, they're not the right way if you want to change your life. And hopefully you get them to start thinking a different way long enough, and hopefully they forget how they used to think. That way, that thought process, that whole changeover is what I would say has a better chance of being permanent.
It's a great example of cognitive dissonance, TJ. The way you remember it and the way the lyrics actually were. That's cognitive dissonance in a nutshell.
Yep. I don't know how many songs, and I was a DJ, professional DJ for 18 years, but we didn't, if you were lucky enough to get the CD with the lyrics inside the cover, well, you're like, okay, what's the song really about? But if you didn't have that, you did the best you could, and if what you thought you heard flowed easily enough and you could sing it with the song, I'm trying to think of one right now. Ventura Highway. For the longest time, until I moved to California, I thought the song was Venture a Highway. Take an adventure on a highway. Venture a highway. Well, then I found out about this city called Ventura, which has this highway called Ventura Highway. Well, that straightened that out. And then you get the songs that are purposely saying incorrectly to mess with people for novelty. I call them audio infections. Weird Al Yankovic made how much money off of creating audio infections? But it proved how powerful being able to get that change and add novelty and have fun with it truly is. And I wanted to throw some major kudos to you, Elijah, on your question of, well, when did you decide that?
When did you decide that? It's one of my favorite questions.
Yes. How powerful is that? And that would be another one for the negative thoughts. Well, when did you decide that it was all bad?
You know, the key to when did you decide that is to not actually let them answer.
Yeah.
You ask, like, you wait until you're certain that they're about to answer you, and then you interrupt them just before they answer with the second question.
Yeah. And what's the second question?
When don't you do it now anymore?
Would you repeat that for the people that just went,
So the anymore is much lower. So it's, when don't you do it now anymore?
yes.
And what are you deciding then? And how is this different from the way you were? And what's more important to you now? And in order to even follow the question, your brain has to traverse this completely different route or route that is so different from where it's used to going, right? But because each question interrupts the answer to the previous one, they don't have enough time to think about how they got to this better place where they are that's different from before.
Exactly.
When would now be a good time for you to start thinking about it differently?
Yeah, exactly. Differently from the way you've been until now, how might you approach this problem?
Yes. That's why I love what we do. Any more epiphanies, ahas, inputs on this, or is it time for another question, another topic? Anybody else got a question or a topic that we can? Holly's got her hand up.
I've got one I've been thinking about a bit lately. So I think I've mentioned before, I think there's different sources that, shall we say, things we need to heal, whatever might come from. One is, of course, our genetics, but it's not just genetics, because it's more than that, because we could go forward in time and we could go backwards in time. Time doesn't seem to have a meaning for healing. Obviously, what we eat, if we eat food that's goes to bad energy, that can matter. Also, I believe, our soul has past lives, future lives. We're bringing all that energy into here. But in a conversation that I had yesterday, I had this new thought of a new kind. Maybe when we get sent here, we have soul group assignments where these are things that we and when I say soul group, for those who haven't heard me say this before, is it Journey of Souls, I think it's called, where he talks about how everyone has a soulmate group. So it's not just one person. The average person, I think, is supposed to be around 9 to 14, but you can have more, you can have less than that. That's just the average. And the idea is, because you're at roughly the similar level, energetically, that you're learning similar things together. And then I was also thinking not just soul group assignments, but also when you get down here, maybe there's a temporary coworker assignment or a temporary friend group assignment or whatever it may be, that because we're in rapport with each other, we might be picking up things from each other, helping each other. Anyway, so this is my question is, first of all, why is it so many people seem to think it's selfish to heal? Because I've noticed this seems to be a thing. And then my follow-up question that's been going in through my mind a lot lately is it selfish to choose not to heal? Because first of all, if we choose to heal, we're helping, our relatives, we're helping our future selves and past selves in different lives, we're maybe even helping the people we're in rapport with. And then also when we choose not to heal, we're still in rapport with people we might be bringing down. We have relatives we might be bringing down. So yeah, my two questions of why is it people seem to think it's so selfish to heal? And also when we choose not to heal, is that potentially more selfish than we think it is? And if so, how do we respond to that?
Just to clarify, when you say heal, you mean heal yourself or heal someone else?
Oh, heal ourselves, but I guess you could take it to someone else too if you want to expand it that way.
Good question. Lenora's got her hand up.
I personally think that it is the shame and judgment that it comes attached to it. And oftentimes when we're little and we hear certain phrases, for example, I heard, who do you think you are? Who gave you permission to do that? Or anything that I did without asking for permission was often met with some sort of criticism in some way, shape, or form. So to then think that it's important to take care of yourself in this way, or it's important to help yourself in this way, who gave you permission to do that? Who said you could do that? So therefore, there's a shame or guilt attached to that. And I think it just kind of got between deletion, distortion, and generalization, got kind of grouped into that piece. And then to think, there's a book out there called, I believe it's called The Selfish Gene. And the idea behind it, I think, is fantastic, because ultimately you are designed to be selfish, because that's how you survive. It's part of our coding. So if you recognize, oh, that's innate within me, I'm supposed to do that, I'm supposed to be selfish, I'm supposed to take care of myself, and what's stopping me is the external judgment or shame attached to that, then you can start to recognize that there's nothing wrong with doing that. It is by design that we are supposed to take care of ourselves in any way, shape, or form that's within our thought process. And then to recognize, I think, especially if you look at entire culture, people would say to heal and for it to go back through timelines. Like, I don't know if that would resonate with most people who aren't in like this lovely triple T tribe. People within our communities of like hypnosis or personal growth, that they would resonate with that. But I think if you're having a general conversation, most often people would say, oh, well, don't do that stuff, do this stuff if you feel like you need to. And it's not going to affect anybody. It doesn't go back that way and it doesn't go forward, because I think those concepts are not mainstream.
Good stuff. Thank you. Mark.
Yeah, responding to Holly's question, is it selfish to heal? Is it selfish to want to become whole? Again, because when you heal, don't you become whole? Don't you become more your true self? Again, those are the questions that were coming into my mind when she said, is it selfish to heal? Well, I agree with Lenora as far as I said, everything stems from our initial egocentricity right out of the gate, but isn't the goal, the purpose of healing is to become whole? I don't know. What do I know?
Good point. Anybody else?
Everything is selfish. Get over it. Everything is selfish, bro. Get over it.
Yeah.
We're all the same. And we're all different. That's the third time I said it. It's okay. You're allowed to want what you want. You don't have to agree with other people. They don't have to agree with you. It's fine. It's not like you're on a government level with armies that you control, and that if you disagree with someone or they disagree with you, then there's going to be a war. No, it's okay. Someone has their opinion of what they think is a healthy breakfast, and you have your opinion on what you think is a healthy breakfast, or perhaps you like to skip breakfast because you're fasting or whatever, right? It's okay to disagree. It's fine. One of the problems we have is these so-called influencers all over YouTube, right? Who, because they come through a screen, people give them authority. They think that because they're listening to someone through a screen, it must have some kind of weight to it. And unfortunately, if that person does something slightly entertaining and gets loads of followers and loads of subscribers and stuff, then the more people that are following them, the more other people start listening to them, regardless of how ridiculous what they say is. And then if you are now disagreeing with someone who is an authority and has a tribe that follows them, you will be ridiculed for disagreeing with that person. and then you feel bad, but it's okay. You're allowed to disagree. You do you. Be selfish. It's all right. I give you my permission.
Jordan Peterson had a really good stance on this. I saw a reel, I think it was yesterday, where he said, never before have we been in a position to where we can give our opinion immediately and have access to 1 million people hearing it. And we haven't, he said, we haven't evolved psychologically enough to understand the power that that creates. And when people start getting some traction, especially on social media or something like that, and they can jump on their bandstand and their soapbox and yell out their position and see the reaction from a number of people, it's a drug.
See where my mind goes with it, right? Is the question is it selfish to heal, and is it selfish to not heal when you know you could, because you might be then putting out bad vibes? Those are the two questions I believe.
Yeah.
My question is, how do you know that selfishness has a negative connotation?
There, yes.
What makes selfishness itself bad? Where did the association come from that selfishness is a negative thing? If someone is on their last few pennies and they're going to get evicted and their fridge is empty and they got no, and they do something to secure some food in a unlawful way, are they being selfish?
Correct.
Right? So, like, where does it come from?
Yeah.
Probably a parent or a teacher that told you that being selfish is bad. But is it? Surely it depends on situation.
That is right. Your definition is right in line with my question of when is multiple personality a disorder?
When it comes, well, two, I can tell you. One, when it comes with psychosis. Okay. When it's accompanied with psychosis, it's a problem. Okay. And two, if it starts to damage or cause harm to those around you without your either knowing it or caring about it, like either you do know it and you don't care, or you don't know, then it's bad. Otherwise, having multiple personalities is incredibly useful.
Yes.
It's incredibly useful. It's a fucking skill, dude. Actors get paid more than pretty much everyone. That's how good a skill it is.
Yeah. And my favorite question to really get people is, I go, is a personality that is willing to kill strangers a bad personality? Is that a disorder?
Well, what's the reason for killing the stranger?
There.
You know,
I tell them
is the stranger in the military of an invading army?
Yes.
Well, maybe, you know, maybe it's okay.
You
know, like, I don't think it's really right. I don't think it's really right to kill anyone. You know, I'm not an American, clearly, right? Like where I live, even the police don't have guns. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, there is a sub-unit of the police that do have guns, right? But most of the police that you will come across in the day-to-day, they don't carry guns. Okay, so you know, if you were going to kill someone, it would have to be somewhat more violent in a way, because it would require, you know, hand to hand in some form, right? Or some kind of blade or something, right? But like, you know, when you live in a place where, I don't want to go too far on the gun thing, but where it's so easy, right? And you have all these kind of just like, boom, that's it, done. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, when did we reach this point, this desensitization, when it was okay to kill someone, or you know, because there's no coming back from that.
Right.
There's no coming back from that. It's
Yep.
permanent, right? Surely it would be better to get your knuckles bruised and have a fight and have a black eye or a broken rib.
Yeah.
But then you learn from each other. You learn each other's position. You learn where each other's boundaries are. You can both walk away. You can both grow, right? So I think it's better to fight than it is to kill,
Right.
right? Okay, but it might be okay to kill. You know what I mean? If you're under threat, is what I'm trying to say, really.
Yeah. Well, that's why I told them if you're in the middle of a gunfight in Fallujah, in the middle of a war-torn area, and you're being shot at, I want the person next to me to have the personality, the personality that goes, I can kill a stranger. But if you're in a church and everything's cool and nothing's going on, and you're in the middle of peacetime and somebody decides they want to, that's a disorder. Yeah, it doesn't fit into the current social norm. That was my biggest.
Right. So when it's accompanied with psychosis, like I said,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's either one of us is going down, and I don't want it to be me. If that's the situation, that's a skill set with a personality attached to it. Make sure it's for the right reason and the right time. Lenora. And Fran joined us. Yay!
I just wanted to share what somebody on YouTube had said. They said taking care of ourselves is a natural instinct. Growing old is a beautiful thing. So much life understanding of the life cycle.
Great quote. Thank you for sharing that. I also don't think that healing ourselves is selfish. I think it is of the utmost importance. That's why I liked when I think it was Jim Rohn, I believe, that said so many people for the longest, or no, I believe it was Wayne Dyer. Everybody was like, I'll take care of me for you, or you take care of you for me and I'll take care of me for you. And it had to be, I will take care of me for you. You take care of you for me, because I can't take care of you and take care of me at the same time. Mark.
Again, the whole idea of they said again, we're all born egocentric. I mean, kids, the whole universe revolves around them, but we're supposed to mature out of that. Okay, because you have to recognize, as you mature, that other people exist. They're not just objects. Object relations theory works great with kids because everything is an object. Mom object, dad object, and they're just there to, to feed my egocentrism. But as we mature, we recognize that, oh, that's a person over there. They've got their own, persona. They've got their own mind, their own goals, their own, they're separate from me, and they're, and that, if we recognize, like you said, the reality of others, because we're all locked up in the dark anyways, and we're positing these things, But if that person is distinct from me, if that's another person over there, not just an object for to gratify my, me, once I have to recognize it, then I have to recognize that other person has needs, and if they, they need to heal, okay, if they, they feel they need to heal from something that happened in their past or whatever, that's a real need. That's something that's outside of me. And I don't, I acknowledge that that they have a reality that's totally separate from me. So finding that, again, that's a point of maturity, is to recognize that there are other people in the world. When you just remain in that immature object relations world, that, well, that's just another object. I can kill that other object. It's fine, because they're just an object in my world. They're an impediment to me, and I can get rid of them. But when you recognize the reality that there are others, and those others, you got to have that quality of empathy, putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And, I think that's a very advanced trait, to develop, is that, yeah, there's another person over there, and they're totally separate from me, and they have a completely different history and, and mind from me, and they're real, and it's just as important to recognize that, yeah, there are other people in the world, and that they, and they're different from me, but, but we're so, like Elijah said, we're very much the same. So we're different, and we're the same at the same time.
Yep.
So,
Can I say something a little bit crazy? Or at least
Perfect.
it might appear crazy.
Yes, please.
They're not others. They're you. You are them. I am you, and you are me, and we are one. And the only thing is, we can only experience it from one perspective at a time. But actually,
that's not crazy.
you are all
You're
just
not
a part of
crazy
me.
for Elijah. That's the Philadelphian philosophy. The spear in your heart is the spear in mine.
And when I get around to experiencing it as you, perhaps I will understand things differently. But I won't know, because I won't be experiencing it as me anymore. I mean, I'll still be me, but only as you. But not me as me. And so
Come to
even
my
though
side.
I'm
Come to the
always
dark side.
me,
We have cookies.
And poor Fran jumped on just in time to go, huh?
you see,
I'm going to jump in with, that's so on point for me, because I'm trying to work through some radical forgiveness, which is also forgiveness of self. And the basic premise of that is, if you can spot it in somebody else, you got it. So, deal. If it's bugging you out there, have a look inside.
Yeah. If someone
The
is
only
being
way
an
you're going to
arsehole and
deal
pissing
with
you off, you have
the
that
only way
trait
you're
within
going to
you.
deal with it is to deal with you.
But that's the beautiful thing, is once you do deal with you, they won't bother you anymore.
Yes,
it's a
I'm
mirror.
still struggling with it.
Right? Because once you deal with it inside, like if you deal with the anger inside your own heart, and you quell your own anger, right? Then angry people won't bother you anymore. And anger in general won't bother you anymore.
Okay.
And it will not be easy by any stretch of the imagination for someone to be able to make you angry. See, such a strange concept, that somebody could make me angry. How is it possible that something outside of me could make me something? Surely, if I become angry, and I know you're not talking about anger, Fran, but just as a general idea, right, to piggyback off what you're saying, but like, in order for me to become angry, I would have to take whatever I experience through my eyes and my ears and whatever and give it a meaning of some sort, that meaning is what pissed me off. So it's me who did it, not you. Right? And so when you really get down to it, how is it possible, like, and this kind of comes back to what TJ was saying about the Wayne Dyer thing, right? Well, I'll take care of me for you, or whatever it was, right? Is that it's not only that no one can make you angry, but no one can make you happy either. That shit comes from inside. The peace and the serenity and the quiet, it comes from inside. And if you're struggling with this life, let me tell you, the only way out is to go in.
And the hurdle that's inside of that activity is the difference between suicidal empathy and protective empathy. And I've got a lot of clients that are struggling with that, because when you start to understand why people do certain things and why certain people are certain ways, they can stomp all over you. And with suicidal empathy, you're like, well, they do this because their childhood. They did this, they said this to me because they acted this way because. But did it come at the expense of your energy? Whereas protective empathy goes, you know, I understand why you're doing this. I understand that you had issues with your childhood. I understand that you're whatever, but you don't get to do that to me anymore. That's protective empathy. I can feel for you. I can send you empathy. I hope you get better. I can understand all this, but it's not going to happen at the expense of my energy anymore. And that's another form of healing. When you can start setting the boundaries to keep people from pooping in your canoe just because it's convenient and they've done it before. Mark.
Yeah, in one way I agree with Elijah. Again, people say, well, he made me angry or she made me angry. Yeah, and that's a lie we tell ourselves. Okay. To, again, I tell people all the time, there's only one way I can make you angry. That's to saw off the top of your skull, open up your brain, find the circuit that generates anger and hit it with an electrical probe. Other than that, there's no other way to make another person angry. Or make them sad or make them happy.
Yeah.
It's got to come from within.
Yep.
Because when they say, well, yeah, she made me sad or she made me anxious or angry or whatever, it's a lie we tell ourselves.
It's also why I like when Wayne Dyer said, you can never get sick enough to make somebody else healthy. You can never become poor enough to make somebody else wealthy. You can never become sad enough to make somebody else happy. You have to take care of you first.
Which means healing is not selfish.
Exactly.
Just to bring that full circle for you, Holly, right?
There it is.
That would mean healing is not selfish, right?
Airplane rule. When the mask drops down, who do you put it on first?
It's the same with like being offended. So being offended is like a big one. You can't express an opinion these days because you might offend someone, right? And that's like a really big. It's like holy shit, dude. Like I try to offend at least 6 or 7 people a day, just to stay exercised in it, right? But like someone said to me, I think he said, I don't mean to offend you, but, and I cut him off right away. I said, mate, in order for you to offend me, I would first have to value your opinion.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Yes.
Like you can't offend me unless I allow you to. Right? And surely anger, happiness, sadness, inner peace, tranquility, rage, jealousy, they're all just the same. They're all just different shades of this rainbow of feelings.
And not only
You can
that,
only
if they
offend so many
start out,
people a day. You know, I'm sorry, today's not your turn. Come back and see me tomorrow. Maybe I'll offend you.
well, if they start out with, I don't mean to offend you, but, then go, good, stop right there.
Yeah, innit?
Yeah, yeah, we're going to stop right at the butt and call it good. Then you don't have to worry about offending me or anything. Just keep it to yourself. Kind of like, opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one. Some of them are kind of stinky. So don't blow any air my way if it's stinky.
And practice radical happiness around people, and then they forget what they're being cranky about.
Yes.
And also, you can always chunk up to opinion. Understand that, right? The moment somebody says to you, no, that's a fact, and you can say, yeah, but that being a fact is your opinion.
Yes.
In my opinion, it's not a fact.
Yes.
Right? I don't believe it. Well, you can always take the argument one level higher to opinion and disagree with someone. It's okay.
And the nice thing is, one of two things will happen. They'll get over it or they won't.
Yeah, they have to listen. It comes back, bro. It comes back again, and I think I did this last time I was on here because I wasn't on here for a few weeks, right? But I think last time I was on here, I was going on about frames as well, frame wars.
Yes, frame wars.
Right? If you hold your frame strongest and longest,
Yep.
right? They either have to fall in line or leave,
Yes.
or either way, no more problem.
And unfortunately,
Oh, it's 2 o'clock, bro. I talked.
Sometimes they run out of time.
I talked a lot today. Damn.
I am.
We loved it. Thank you.
I am so grateful for all of you. I so am. Thank you for coming into my life and being willing to share your life on this simple platform. I appreciate it more than I've got the vocabulary or the time to tell you. And I also have to make sure that even though my mom's on vacation, she is going to watch the recording. So, love you, Mom. And I love the rest of you all as well. Please go out and have an amazing week. Live life to the absolute best of your abilities. And if you need help, ask us. We'll help you any way we can. But until then, see you hopefully back here in 7. Love you. Bye.
Thank you.